This is episode 194 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dio Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. I don't know what to fly. Kind of meh. Manzano.
Yeah. I mean, I've got some lists that are not meh, like super exciting, but they're not very competitive. So I'm trying to find something that is not boring to be competitive. So still looking.
Will, the ability to speak does not make you intelligent? Hayquid.
Sure can let you build lists, though, and talk about them.
And Ryan proclaims what some believe are insanities. Staniszewski.
Yeah, some things I have determined in my own, and with maybe a few others, the vast majority of the rest of the community would think I'm insane. Some have already said that.
You crazy, man. You crazy.
Yep.
Well, as for announcements and news, our podcast, of course, brought to you by our amazing Gold Squadron patrons. And I did post today the official full spread for what is going to be shipped out here in Q1 for our patrons. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. So if you haven't seen it yet, we'll go ahead and just show it off. That did not do what it's supposed to. Interesting. Okay. Nope. Not that. Not that. There it is. All right. So basically, if you didn't catch my last email or one of my last emails about Patreon, the way we're doing it is we're shipping twice a year now, but we're shipping 2 quarters worth of swag in those shipments in order to save on shipping. And essentially, the quarter 4 is going to be a wintry triple pack. We got Volandas, Poe Dameron, and Tycho Kelchu, all pilots from the Hot Shots and Aces 2. My original idea, unfortunately, didn't work out with the TIE Fighter pilot thing. The Poe is fixed, by the way. I know that it says 5 in this picture, but it's fixed. So we'll spread from that. Our general tier will be receiving GSP-themed shield tokens, which are absolutely awesome for quarter 4. Quarter 1, we have the Heroic Squadron, which I figured I'd wear the t-shirt in honor of the Heroic Squadron. All the pilots got picked on Patreon, and they came out awesome. There is also a bonus pilot because we have 5 pilots, but we have 3 cards back front and back, and that 6th pilot was whichever pilot got the most amount of votes in second place, and that ended up being Poe Dameron with an alternate paint scheme that I threw on there. So should be fun. Of course, we got plenty of stickers, and the acrylic for the generals is GSP helmet themed charge tokens. So super awesome, and super excited to get these in your hands. So where I want to start today is talking about Sector Series. So first, as a reminder, it started today. So if you signed up, your pairings are already made. You should contact your opponent via Discord. Please do that. The first scenario is Assault on the Satellite Array. Now, one of the things about the Sector Series rules is that you're allowed to change your list for every round. And some people were asking about the exact procedure, and this is a new idea with online play and wanting to actually document all of them. So this is how we're going to be doing it. Basically, Roll Better is going to be able to take a snapshot of all the lists from round 1 when we end the round. So how you'll do it, because I know some people were worried about, well, what if I enter my list and my opponent can see it? Basically, have your list chosen when you show up to the table, have it on a disc, spawn it, and then put it into Roll Better afterwards. It's open, and you're able to do that now. And then when we end the round, we'll take that snapshot, and you can go ahead and change it for the following round as we go from there. So what I wanted to talk about today, friends, is since this week for Sector Series is is Assault at the Satellite Array is first just kind of reviewing what is Assault at the Satellite Array for maybe anybody who's still not 100% sure on what each of the scenarios are. Maybe they're bad at knowing what the name is. All right, we're just reinforcing Assault at the Satellite Array. And making sure that we know the rules, and also talk about strategy. And what I'd like to do, my friends, is take a peek at some lists that I already know there have been some games that have already gone off, but I want to take a peek at a couple of lists that people are choosing and talk about maybe how they work well in Assault at the Satellite Array. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Ryan. What is Assault at the Satellite Array?
Assault at the Satellite Array is a scenario for X-Wing in which you have 5 satellites, one that always starts in the dead center of the map, and 2 given to each player. They are placed on the board based on player order, where the first player will place their first objective on their side of the board. I can go into details specifically later as to the range restrictions of it. The second player will put the objective on their side. Back to first player for their second, or basically the third objective to go on, has to put it on their opponent's side. And the final one, player 2 puts it on their opponent's side. So you have control over one on your side, and you have control over one being put on your opponent's side. There are range restrictions as to how close they can be to each other and where they can be on the board. But basically, at the turn 2 end phase, where you can actually start scoring those points, and you score them by having ships at range 0 to 1 of that objective in the end phase, at the beginning of the end phase. Technically, there are some ships in the game that have some like Hawk Lat that can move things in the end phase. That comes after. All those type of side effects of the end phase from pilot abilities or upgrades come after you score. So score them by being within range 0 to 1. The player that has the most ships or most count, because a medium and large base ship count as 2 ships when you're trying to contest an objective. So if you have, say, a Reaper and a TIE Silencer, the Reaper is going to be scoring that objective because that is all that is there, and they count for 2, and the Silencer counts for 1. If there's a Manaroo and a Faroff, they both count as 2, even though a large base is bigger than a medium. If you have 2 smalls and a medium or a large, then you're tied, and no one gets that objective. So you go through all 5 in the end phase and see if there's any ships contesting them. And for either player, the players score points based upon who actually controls it. If no one controls it, no points given for that objective. If it's a tie, no one gets points for that. You need to have more than your opponent at the objective at each satellite to gain a point. Same with all other X-Wing scenarios. First to 20. Because there's a situation where you could both hit 20, but until the end of the round is over, once the final score is over 20, the highest at that point would win that game.
Awesome. Thank you for that overview of Assault. So what I want to jump into is let's talk about just some general strategy. You're building lists. Marcel, do you know who your opponent is this week for Sector Series?
I'm playing either Adam Hill or Rumble Rocket. I'm playing both of them, but one of them is for Exiled and one of them is for this. So
for Sector Series, yeah. So I guess what I want to start with you is with the ability to build for the scenario. Are you planning on doing that, or are you planning?
Is that the scenario?
Yeah, the scenario is Assault.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay. I mean, I know we were talking about Assault today. I just didn't know that was the Sector Series one.
Whoosh.
Anyway, okay. Continue with the question. Now I know. Well, the question was I planning to build something specifically for Sector Series?
No, for specifically
sound
for
like it.
assault.
Yeah, for Assault because of Sector Series. I mean,
Correct.
yeah, I follow-ish. No, the answer is no, I'm not. And the reason I'm not is because I'm still trying to find my worlds list and I'm tweaking different things. So I'm just using this as a way to test stuff regardless of the scenario. So I'm just saying, hey, I've got 34 points that I like. I'm flying Empire, and there's 34
that's a few
points
too
that
many.
I like. So I'm trying to figure out which 20 out of those 34 are the best combination. So
Well, an easy starting point to narrow that down is you can only bring one Vader. So pick your favorite Vader.
actually, out of that 34 points, not a single Vader in that 34 points.
Really?
I got 34 points of not Vader, and 34 points of not Vader. I'm just trying to figure out which combinations are best. And
Are you saying just because Vader is just an auto include?
No, I'm saying because I'm not flying Vader. I'm not taking Vader. I don't think for what I'm building, Vader does a whole lot. It doesn't synergize with everything else that I'm doing. But I've even tried trying a TAP advanced prototype. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The question is, no, I am not building specifically for Assault at the Satellite this week specifically, but Assault at the Satellite is a consideration in what I'm flying. Can this compete in that scenario? And I'm basically taking all three scenarios into my consideration. Chance engagement is just chance engagement. That is what it is. But if your question is, what within all the lists that I'm looking at, am I thinking about to make sure that I'm covered in the Assault at the Saddle array, is either bring medium-based ships. I think medium-based ships and large-based ships are definitely like something, they count for two in this particular scenario. Or, in my case, that I am not considering any medium or large base ships. Hello, if you're listening, I'm not bringing any medium or large base, so you can sit a half to the side. Do I have a way to deal with medium and large base ships that are popular at the moment? So do I have a way to deal with fire sprays? Do I have a way to deal with Reapers with the Bell character, or do I have a way of dealing with like Decimators and like Gauntlet and stuff like that? So that's what I'm thinking, is because I expect to see that does well in Assault at Satellite array, medium and large base ships. So I have a way to punish and delete ships with a lot of agility, and I mean with a little agility but a lot of health and tough to take down typically.
Cool.
By the way, ARC 170s are amazing at this. If in the Galactic Republic.
Speaking of ARC 170s, so I'll just kind of pivot to my next kind of section that I wanted to talk about, is taking a look at some of the lists that have already been successful early on here in Sector Series. And currently in Sector 1, our highest rated player won a very close game. Mission point ended up being, if I take a peek here, the score was 19 to 20. 19 to 20. With a win for Joe Cost. But I specifically actually wanted to take a look at the list, which had a very big win, was Milkman, 27 to 6. Wins his game 27 to 6. Let's go ahead and take a look at this list, Will.
All right.
As I realize I'm not sharing my screen.
No, you're okay. You're okay. All right. So this is a triple medium base list. This is the Grand Republic. So we are, of course, looking at Wolf and Jag in their Siege of Coruscant standard loadouts. Between them sharing locks and having that front and back attacks, they're just so valuable right now for your like frontline jousters. But this one though breaks off from that and includes the new Lat Sicko. That's the one that can side slip. It can do K turns. Can do quite a bit. It has brought multi-missile pods. Not only can you get a 3-dice attack out your front, you can even re-roll it with your own fire convergence. And then C-3PO, which because multi-missile pod can actually allow you to fire them with a calculate, it's a great combination with C-3PO, who gives you 2 calculates as an action. And you can even do defensive rerolls with him as well. It's very... the math is very close to essentially like a reinforced ship. Not so much on a 1 agility, but the advantage is still there. And then rounds out the list with Anakin Skywalker in the Delta 7B, a 7-point, 3 attack dice, initiative 6 ship, has brought the Cryptbot R7A7, shield upgrade, elusive, and brilliant evasion. So essentially has brought 1 support, 2 frontline jousters, and then a very expensive in-game piece in that Anakin Skywalker flying around, acing, flanking, whatever needs to be done.
And with this being Assault the Satellite Array, I'm not surprised that Milkman won their game so handedly. You know, Marcel was talking about medium bases. 3 out of the 4 here taking up a ton of space. I know that we don't know exactly how many rounds were played in this game, but just seeing that score, 27-6, tells you that yeah, they were dishing some damage, but at the same time, to get 7 points above the minimum threshold of 20 tells you that those medium bases were probably doing some work.
Oh, sure. I mean, especially in the last round, when you can, well, any round particularly, that the medium base, if you push your objectives as close as possible, that minimum of range 2, even a medium base can get put in between those and score both of them very easily.
So can a small base, though. Small base can cap 2 as well, but just it doesn't occupy the value of 2 ships.
Yeah, the medium bases do a good job of being like, hey, you have cookies? These are my cookies. You're not allowed to have them. As opposed to like you had mentioned, you know, the other ones have the ability to the small base ships have the ability to capture 2, but they get told no by the big ships. Another list that I wanted to take a look at here comes to us from Jokas, who won a very tight game. This was versus Mighty Newt, 20-19. So let's go ahead and take a peek at what kind of list is able to squeak out a victory here, Ryan.
So we have... There we go. We have the Republic 6 ship is what I would default to at this point. If I were running 6-ship Republic, you have both Wolf and Jag of Coruscant. You have Coruscant Click. You have Coruscant Contrail. You have Coruscant Kickback. And you have no more Coruscants that fit at that point, taking all the 3 and 4 costs besides Obi. You have Stub with a shield upgrade. Probably the only Z95 that I like is Stub with the shield upgrade. Stub being the one, if you do even speed maneuvers, you increase your agility by 1. If you do odd speed maneuvers, you increase your attack by 1. Lots of Born for this, so there are plenty of shareable tokens to go around for defense. You have Click, mitigating, probably locking both of the arcs to help mitigate those range 1 attacks that can be so devastating to them, making them be just a little bit tankier for a little bit longer, while Kickback also holding that evade, the only evade available to the entire list that Born for this can use. And spamming the board with a lot of ships. 2 of them being medium base, 2 of them being allowed to boost with the V-Wings. I think boosting is a very important thing to consider for lists if you were teching specifically for Assault. If you don't want to stick around with just medium and large base, take any base size that has boost. It's a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love it. So, as we continue to go through Sector Series, we're gonna keep just taking some peeks at the different lists that end up getting used. And one of the things I'm just interested in overall is, since we are able to collect data for each round, is what are the trends that we're gonna see next round, depending on what the scenario is. Let's say it's chance engagement. Do we get a big jump off of these medium-based ships? So here's a question. This list here, Ryan, this list here, is it... So obviously it worked well for Jokas in Assault. Is it viable in the other scenarios as well?
I think it can be, yeah. I think this is a list that some people are looking at in Republic that they would like to fly in all scenarios. It's not specifically teched for Assault. It can be very good in Assault because you have 6 ships. You have, actually, it's not just the V-Wings that boost. Stub can boost as well if it does a blue maneuver. And you have 2 medium bases. It's a lot of Assault. It's a lot of coverage to be able to contest those objectives very effectively. What is interesting to note, though, is the person he went up against that was such a close game, Mighty Newt, took 4 U-Wings, so also went with very all medium-based ships for them. Is that one I would consider as a all-comers? We've seen 4 U-Wings kind of be an all-comers before, but it's not very common. I could see Mighty Newt possibly changing. I don't think Jokas needs to change his list in this one if he's looking at testing to see if this is what they want to bring for LVO or Worlds.
Yeah, I know we're talking about Assault, which doesn't have any scenario actions, but thinking about the mindset of the other ones that do have scenario actions, this list, between the Born for this and the arcs passing locks around between each other and to other ships with that synchronized console, that to me is another indicator that you'd be good at these like action-based ones, whether it's scramble or a salvage mission. Having those ships that can go out there without any action makes those scenarios a lot easier. Agreed.
So I'm excited to see how this ends up. If you are part of Sector Series, make sure to get your game in. We're going to go ahead and jump into our next short topic, and then just continuing to break down. These are our final set of lists from that long laundry list that we got when people were telling us, hey, give us your list problems so we can diagnose them. So we're going to jump into that in a second. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the World Championships and make some clarifications slash updates slash I think some people are making assumptions about some things. Let's have some conversations now. First, to be clear, I am not, Dion Morales and Gold Squadron are not the tournament organizers for the World Championships. So, with all the love in the world, I ask, please do not message me for questions about how things are being run. Why is it this way? Why is it that way? Guys, I have several messages in my inbox asking about various things about Worlds. my information came from one place, and that is in the cart for Adepticon. If you look at all the events, everything that I put out there was stitched together from that information. So I just want to put that out there. Second, when somebody asks, well, Dion, are you like involved at all? I cannot officially say, I cannot answer that question. I can neither confirm nor deny because reasons that I think are a little silly, but to be announced. That's all I can say. But one of the other questions I got was there were some people who are signing up for the last chance qualifier waitlist, which is great because I do think people will get a chance to be able to get on there, especially if they open up more spots day of. So people are planning on coming in anyway, playing in side events. And what I wanted to kind of cover is, for some people, this is going to be, even though this sounds crazy, this is going to be their first big convention event, either in a long time, and so for some people, ever. So what I want to do is kind of go around the horn and give some top tips for just being in this type of atmosphere. What are some things you can or should do to prepare yourself, whether it be mentally, physically, X-wingedly, whatever it is you kind of want to hit there. I'm just leaving it nice and open so that we can kind of have some reminders, because this as you know, these events become more normal again. We're kind of hitting that year cycle now after the last Adepticon, and I want to just make sure that everybody is up to date on how this goes. Will, you want to drop some knowledge on us?
Yeah. Now, if you've been to a tournament before, maybe you have a carrying case, something like that, or like a tournament organizer, you might say, where it's got your tokens, got your ships in it and stuff like that. That is very valuable. And I would also, because you're going to be moving around a lot, through a lot of people, I would also recommend finding either a small backpack or a handbag, briefcase, whatever you can bring, because you're going to need some supplies in addition to just your X-Wing stuff. We're talking a little bit of snacks. You don't want to be spending $5 on a greasy slice of pizza. Grab yourself a granola bar or something. Put your water bottle in there as well. They do have drinking fountains at Adepticon. There's like one like right next to the X-Wing tables, but you don't want to be without water at your own table as well. And then, like I said, having that bag where it can contain all your stuff, so you don't lose anything. The Force. Oh shoot! What was I gonna say? Anyways, the Maker forbids that you lose something, right? Like your keys, your wallet, anything like that. I would take anything that's like, you absolutely cannot lose it, leave it in your car. They got free parking. You can go to your car anytime. It's not that far. Maybe not between matches, but like it's pretty far, or it's pretty close. You just walk right out the door into the parking lot. Because like I said, you want less things to keep track of. Yeah, I've seen people bring. When I say a small bag, I'm not talking your big toolbox of every single X-Wing thing.
I brought my whole collection.
No, don't do that. Find just a small box. I mean, I still use my core set. Like, it's got space for ships. It's got place for cards. Put everything inside of it. It's light. Now, granted, if you're bringing a lot of ships or whatever, or if you got like large bases, that's not going to work out probably. But that's always my main concern. Now, Defcon's pretty friendly. I've seen every year just like an empty table of like 3 different X-Wing things and like a bag, and like no one's around looking at this. Yep. But that's probably okay. You probably can get away with it, but I would not throughout the whole convention, try to emulate that. Ryan's showing off his Plano.
There it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
I was like, I know those words aren't right, but I didn't know what the right
plenty
word
of people
was.
have like the Plano like sets for their entire thing. Grab like the smallest container.
Right,
Like
just the one that
this
slides
here.
out of the multiples.
Yeah, like big stuff, cards, tokens, it's all there.
Yep.
Also,
Yep.
anyone who bought District Foundry stuff, you should be using that. I was going to show that off, but I think Ken's on a little bit of a break because he is a newer dad. So,
All right, Marcel, top tips. What you got?
Well, I think the first top tip, if this is your first time going to this tournament, is plan ahead early. So that means tonight or today, if you're listening to this in the daytime, go and look at hotels, make sure that you plan ahead early enough to get your badge and get everything, because if you're planning on showing up morning of and saying, hey, I'm going to show up, get my stuff, and then go register, don't do that, especially if it's Worlds or the Last Chance qualifier. Make sure that you are arriving a day before if you need to go to the Last Chance qualifier or you need to play the next morning. So just get all your planning out of the way now, because the worst way to start your first tournament is running behind and in a hurry. So just make sure that you've got all your stuff scored away. Pack your list. Make sure you pack your list. It sounds funny, but you might bring like your Infinite Arena stuff. Since it is a Worlds event, just make sure that you have the actual physical cards with you, especially if you make it deep into the cut. I wouldn't be surprised if you are asked to prove that you have the stuff that you're flying, that you bought it and own it. Go for it.
Dang it, I'm muted. All right. So while I cannot tell you about my official capacity at Worlds, this is what we do know. What you know as well. This is AMG's first World Championships. Okay, their first bite at the apple. They are planning / I would assume they're planning on being quite strict when it comes to components and things like that. Again, the X-Wing community is generally pretty chill about like third-party tokens and all that stuff. I would say as long as your things are clear, you will be fine. But I know for a fact that their social media person, like, they want to be able to go around and take pictures of things and post them to their Atomic Mass Game social media and all that. But it's there are things that again, I can't officially say what I'm doing there. I think you can assume what we'll be doing there. But there are, for instance, whoever's streaming the event will most likely have to follow the example of what Fantasy Flight Games did for their world streams. Everything was official on that table. Nothing was third party. Everything was always official. And they even went as far as having them use cardboard when there were things that they didn't have that were not official. So just have your official AMG/FFG stuff with you in the event that you need it. It'll be the safest thing to do. And in the player packet, it does say, it's very standard, and I feel like we very often like gloss over it. The like, you have to have official components and all that stuff. And we just get again, as X-Wing community, have been very chill about it. The World Championships might not be a place to be to gloss over that section. It should probably just have things just in case. That maybe have practiced playing with. This sounds crazy. Maybe practice playing a few games with cardboard tokens only, and not the Legos and random tokens you use.
Two things. One of them is
Sure.
who has cardboard? Like, didn't everyone win some kind of like national event or anything? Like, what's wrong with you?
I don't know.
people?
You'd be surprised. Last Adepticon,
No,
I
but-
saw
but no,
more
but-
cardboard than not.
But on a serious note, going back to the Lego thing, their great templates literally look like fat Legos. Like official, remember the official?
Oh, you're talking the
templates?
Thomas the Train Track?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Train track.
Yeah, those things look like Legos. They're like
Those are so ugly.
So you could use those officially.
You could.
bought them from FFG. So.
You could. But anyway, sorry that I kind of derailed you there a little bit. I just wanted to say like I can't say anything officially. This is all. If you're smart enough, you could pull this information out from what we've seen in the past. But once we have official word, we'll continue to reinforce once we know what's going on.
Got it. Anyway, so I don't know if we're going through the whole thing, but I would say that's just like the stuff that you could start preparing for now, and then the stuff that Ryan will, and I'm sure you'll say during the actual event.
Ryan, give us some top tips for playing at Worlds or a big event, a convention style.
So I know it's for, like you said, for some of us, this may be the first time doing an in-person event ever, or in 3+ years, because that was before COVID. I think it's, even though it is Worlds, people want to win, be competitive. I would encourage you to go into every game trying to make a friend. Like, talk with the person across from you. Even if you're like, I don't really care about like making friends with my opponent. Whatever. Just speak with them. Like, it's kind of weird that this is something that I'm saying, but it's because we haven't had in-person events a ton that recently, and this is Worlds. This is something everyone wants to go to, and this is something a lot of people who haven't gone to anything in a while or ever will want to go to. So, when you're playing a game with someone, small talk or just even speaking out what's happening during the game can help make sure it's as most comfortable an experience for both players as possible. Because if you're a quiet person and you have trouble talking to other people, that's okay. You don't have to be Mr. or Mrs. Extrovert now, right? But like, it does give kind of people weird vibes when someone's like quiet almost the whole time and just does their thing. And it makes, I from the perspective of someone who has played against someone who was extremely quiet, it made me feel like, am I doing something wrong? Am I off-putting to this person? Should I like step off the pedal here a little bit?
Did I do something?
Yeah. Now, again, if you're not a talkative person, I'm not saying you have to talk the entire time, but like, if we're going into this new event, new Worlds, kickoff, pretty much, it's weird how this is like Worlds is the end of a season. This is kind of like a Worlds that's kicking off the season. Right? It's kicking off like the brand new OP for AMG, right? This is the time where if you want to make good new connections with people, this is when you do it, right? This is when you get a chance to actually talk to the people you may have only heard about from event results, from Discords, or from even chatting in a game, a pickup game on TTS. Like, now you get to see them in person. And so beyond just talking with your opponents, go and find the people that you've been talking to online this whole time. Go see, like, I know it, again, sounds weird to like have to remind you to do this, but I recommend go meet those people in person. It's a good time, World. When you just like chill out and hang with the people you've been talking to through a screen the entire 3 years now, right? So, go out, participate in some of the after dinners each night at Worlds. You don't have to go with the same people the whole time, or you could go with a group of people the whole time to make yourself feel comfortable. But like, hop around to other different groups with your group, right? Like, a couple groups get together, go out and do something, or even just on a lunch break, right? Like, go out, chill with other people. This is when we want to connect and reform that strong bond the community had so long ago. Not saying we don't have a strong bond now, but these events is what brings us like tighter together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say go into Worlds with an open mind and the ability to be friendly, however that is, whether it is being super talkative or lightly talkative. Just open mind and an open heart, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any go-to icebreakers? Mine's always just, how's your matches been going? Can't use
you could just straight start doing the Darth Plagueis like thing.
Have you heard the tale?
Yep.
Of Darth Plagueis the Wise, right?
Yeah. Or mine usually is, hi, my name is Dion. What's your name? And just, like, that is probably, it's a big barrier to find out somebody's name. And if you just start with it, it's great. And if you forget, be like, I'm sorry, tell me your name again.
Say their name 3 times out loud.
At least.
I'm paired with Michael. You're Michael, right? Well, nice to meet you, Michael.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. A good easy one for this one is like, hey, where'd you travel from, right? Like, this is Worlds. You could have came from anywhere, right?
That's right. And I mean, when it comes to being social, Ryan, I mean, I know that sounds like a really broad invitation, but like, especially if you don't end up going with a group, but really anybody, and you don't know what to do for dinner, or you don't know, just, we're going to be there. Be like, what are you guys doing for dinner? Be like, hey, we're going to go get pizza. We're going to go to Kuma's Corner. We're going to go here. And just let's go. Like, we are regular people, I promise. We don't bite. Well, Marcel bites, for sure.
I nibble. I don't bite.
Like, this also might sound weird, because some people, I think, do still have this, like, mindset. We don't care how good you are at X-Wing. Come out and have fun with us, like, and go have dinner and chat and chill. Like, you don't have to be the top players to hang with the top players. No, not at all. Like, we're all having fun playing a cool game. Chill. Whoever wins the event, kudos. But, like, it's not going to change who they are.
Absolutely. My top tip is, we talked a little bit about being social. We've talked about making sure that that you kind of have your game stuff together. Just making sure that your body is right for the event. And we're talking here about eating, but if you're playing on the second you made the cut, you're really excited, but you know that maybe you have a sensitive stomach, you probably shouldn't be too risky when it comes to food the night beforehand, things like that, because while you're there to have some fun, but if the competitive side of a tournament or a convention is important to you, you got to think about it like an athlete would. You got your mind, you got your body, and you just got to make sure that those things are right. Like, I know for myself, whenever I'm playing in a tournament, or even when I'm casting a tournament, I'm pretty careful about what I eat. I get picked on a lot because you're like, oh, Dion, you're being so picky. But I know what I can eat that will make it so that I can be successful and be able to focus on the things that I need to. So just getting that, stay hydrated, have snacks. My go-to snacks are grapes and pre-shelled pistachios. That's my jam. Grapes and pre-shelled pistachio. They fit really nicely in my my little X-Wing bag. It's awesome.
I tend to err on the side of the Cliff Bars.
Say it again, Marcel.
bars.
It's like granola bars and tequila. They go well together.
Now there is a beer cart.
I was actually about to try to transition to that.
I hope they got the beer tracks out.
There is, yes. Adepticon is known for its beer tricycles. It actually, Adepticon they do raise money for charity, and the money that you spend on the tricycle goes towards whatever charities they're covering this year. So it's good times.
To be fair, their food isn't all that. I mean, they basically just got chicken tenders, pizza, and hot dog. That's what you can expect to get there. So if you like something other than chicken tenders, whatever else, just be aware when the last round is coming up. To either pack your lunch or. I wouldn't trust Grubhub because Grubhub will probably not get there on time. So if you're planning on just ordering something, you're not going to. If you plan on walking somewhere and thinking like, oh, I'm just going to pick something up because I'm walking there, you're not going to be able to. It's going to be full. So either bring something or expect to eat a hot dog or a chicken nugget. Those are like your two options.
Yeah,
a salad. Like they don't run out of salads for some weird reason. So they'll have salads too.
As someone who used to work in clothing and footwear department, I can't constantly recommend this enough. Make sure you have a good pair of shoes. Don't bring your crappy shoes. If you need a new pair of shoes, like you're kind of due, go get them before Worlds. Like you're going to be standing on hard ground. Not carpet, not a couch nearby for you to lounge on for a little bit. You got a hard plastic chair or whatever probably there for you to sit on that most people probably won't want to for very long. You are going to be standing. You're also going to be leaning and bending over. Get your lower backs ready too. No joke, especially for you tall people. You do have the height advantage to look over the table, but you also have to bend over the table for a long time.
New Balance is your friend. They do.
Don't cheapen out on those shoes either. Asics, Brooks, New Balance, Sauconys. There's probably more out there. The list goes on. Those just come to the top of my head because I just went shoe shopping for my wife, who needs new shoes for work, and they need to be supportive. It's not just cushion. You need to support your feet with a tough and enduring sole, not just something that cushions your foot. Because if it just cushions it, you're just going to flatten it out over time.
Agreed. Yeah. Somebody talking about breaking in shoes. I have found breaking in shoes feels like a fallacy.
Depends on the shoe.
It does depend on the shoe.
Yeah, if it's a hard leather shoe, if it's something like a Jordan or something, you'll have to wear it for a little bit.
Yeah, you need to break those
in. But if it's something that's cloth like an Asics or New Balance,
you'll be fine.
Or like a Slide or something like that, yeah, you just you're fine.
And actually, Rock Anzo is correct. We actually haven't talked. We've been talking about everything minus things on the table. Don't be afraid to look at your opponent's list. It's so true. Some people forget to actually ask those questions. You're allowed to. And if you need to, go ahead and go to the other side of the table at some point if you need to. We've seen players just go, they needed to see something on the other edge. They would just walk all the way around. My warning to you slash just hey, it's probably a good idea, and Will knows exactly what I'm referencing here because it happened to a friend of ours, is if you're planning on going around the table, maybe just keep your eyes on your opponent the entire time. It's a good idea. And if your opponent is going around, maybe you should keep your hands off the table. Maybe that's an idea. I'm just saying.
Also, if you have any questions about their list, ask them. If you're still not sure, get a judge. Better to find out before the game than during the game.
That's right. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So we're going to continue to talk about the World Championships as more information becomes available. People want speculation. I did see somebody asking, like, do you think that we'll get any new releases at Worlds? You think AMG will do anything special? Here's my predictions. I don't think we'll get any new product, but I think the World Championships is a great opportunity for AMG to announce new product, to like hey, here's Worlds, and here's the next things for all these games. Obviously, they're going to be talking about Shatterpoint. That's their new game. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get some type of, it's a great. It seems to me like a great opportunity for announcements. Each year at Adepticon, minus last year, there was always Fantasy Flight would always do an in-flight report at. They were more known to do it at Gen Con, but they also did smaller ones at Adepticon, and every time there was something revealed. So since it's Worlds, maybe we'll get something bigger for each of the games. Wouldn't be surprised there. I think it'll be a good opportunity.
All right, guys, I took some time and changed the old Adepticon 2022 to 2023. And I got in there some forms. There's a new thing on Discord where you can make a form.
Okay.
So instead of it being one long post, do you know what I'm talking about? Like every other Discord. I made it so you can make a small, like, looking for food Wednesday little post, and then you can reply directly to it. Check that out on our Discord. Hopefully that will then add Adepticon. If you do need something, if you're like, you can make a post in there of just like, please someone bring a Slave One base token. Hopefully there'll be a way to communicate throughout the players then too.
That's a great idea. I went ahead and just dragged that. I dragged that to the top, and we'll get it cleaned up. We'll get it cleaned up. There's some unnecessary
like the nostalgia
checks.
of the old stuff, but yeah.
I don't want people to get confused. They're like, why is there a staff channel? I'm like, that's old. Technically, well, I can't talk about. We're not doing anything.
We don't talk about.
We can't talk about. Don't worry about it. All right. So that's Worlds. It's around the corner. It's coming. Super excited. Is LVO next weekend? Is that next weekend or the weekend after?
27th?
2 weeks?
Not this weekend, next weekend, I thought. To the calendar.
Oh, sorry. I guess, yes.
The weekend
Technically, this weekend, if it's the 21st, 22nd, then the weekend after, yes, the 28th to 29th. 27th to 29th.
All right. So that's coming around the corner. Looking forward to seeing whoever's going to be there. And all these, taking care of yourself, taking care of your listings, all matter for LVO as well. So it's a good practice if you're going there.
Yeah, question that I've heard a
yes.
couple times the past week or so, and just got in the chat. Is GSP streaming LVO?
Yes.
Alrighty.
Absolutely.
Confirmed.
Yeah, we will be there. We are the official stream, the official X-Wing stream of the Las Vegas Open. So
You could just say you're the official X-Wing stream. Done.
I don't want to be rude. I know I do most of the events, but Scott's got the day-to-day, so I gotta give props where props are
Oh
due.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Physical events. GSP.
First time caller says, Dion, can I take a selfie with you at LVO? Sure. Just be like, hey Dion, let's take a picture. I'll be like, oh, okay, cool, easy, done. I want to take a picture with you.
Pro tip: don't do it while he's trying to cast.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah, that's great. You know what?
If someone is casting Adepticon, if there happened to be someone streaming that event, do not interrupt them. If the headsets are on,
Yeah. Correct. If we're in the middle of a round and we're actively talking, okay, I love you. Don't talk to that person then. Okay, it's not the time. It's because it's so easy to get off track when you're trying to have a conversation and trying to keep things going. Oh man,
You know what's
it's
the
only
best time for though? A simple wave and a little hand heart.
That's right.
Yes. We could be easily bribed with food or snacks, but
Correct.
X-wing cards and paraphernalia, but don't unfortunately don't expect a conversation. If the headsets are on, that's business time.
It's more likely the headsets are on; they can't even hear you anyway.
But it is distracting when you got the person like kind of holding up their finger, being like, "Excuse me."
That's okay. It'll be hopefully. Who's ever streaming it won't have the same problems as Gen Con. We're answering a lot of strange questions at Gen Con, to say the least.
True that. Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead. Let's jump into our lists of the week. This is the final stretch from the set that we had asked for a few weeks ago. So let me go ahead and get that ready on my screen, and we'll get this going. We're gonna start with Rob Sabaro. Not Sabaro. That's a pizza place. Sabo. Rob Sabo, he said, this list is trying. I feel like this list is trying to take advantage of Saul's ability while point taking thick 2 agility ships with focus evade. Keo is just a 3-point filler and trying to figure out what upgrades work best on Garvin. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at that. Who wants to take this one? This is a Rebel Chonk list.
I got it.
Go ahead.
I got it pulled up already here. So I was going to start with that chunk is coming from Ezra Bridger in the Gauntlet. That's right. The Gauntlet's in Rebels as well. Has Jin or so to be able to convert focuses to evades. We have Contraband Cybernetics. Ezra not only likes to be stressed, but that Gauntlet has a stop maneuver. And then Night Brother, Swivel Wing, all your regular upgrades. And then Perceptive Co-Pilot. Remember that combination because these essentially, when you get the second focus, you can turn it into an evade. So Ezra's got one action, that's focus evade. When he needs to, or double evade, if you really think you need to. We have Saw Gerrera with Contraband Cybernetics, Leia Organa, and Perceptive Co-Pilot. Very similar there. Loves to stop those Leia white maneuvers, whether they are K-turns for ships or stops. Very good every 3 rounds. Saw's ability to give passive rerolls when a ship is damaged. Very good as well. Then we have Garmin Drace with Marksmanship, Clan Ren Commandos, and Veteran Tail Gunner. So that's Garmin Drace in the Arc. Combines great with Jin. You can actually throw evades to people instead of just focuses if need be. So that's really interesting. And then need a 3-point ship. So take in Keo. That's that Force-sensitive A-Wing that side slips with elusive and concussion missiles. So this is really built around these ships maybe stopping, getting to a position in the board, and then just remaining there, whether it's assault and need to claim the objectives, or it's a different something like scramble, where you want to prevent your opponent from coming to get your objective. You can do that by just preventing their movement with your large and medium bases. Now this is, I will say that what's interesting to me is that Leia is on Ezra, but I think that's just because of how the points work out. You had to have Contraband Cybernetics on Ezra, hands down, must have upgrade. Is the Perceptive Jin the go-to here because of the bump focus? You could just slam Ezra in, take the focus evade and the stress for your ability as well. Is that the thinking? Would you guys assume?
Yeah, I mean that just works so good. Go ahead. Sorry, Brian.
I said potentially, yeah, that could be their mindset for it.
Now, this is reliant on actions. To me, I feel like with Garvin, with all the focus passing, they would actually want Benthic out there instead of Saw. Do you have to lose anything? Oh, Saw is the biggest loadout of any U-Wing, doesn't he? Wow.
Yeah, so the player had said this list is trying to take advantage of Saw's ability. So Saw's ability, for anybody who doesn't remember here, while a damaged friendly ship at range 0 to 3 performs an attack, it may re-roll 1 attack die. So, I mean, that seems like a good ability. My question is there another 5-point ship that might perform better in this list than Saw?
I'm less concerned about Saw. I'm more concerned about Garvin, the Arc 170, personally.
Yeah, that's going to be my cut ship too. Actually, I really have no complaints with the Saw and Ezra builds.
Okay.
The Perceptive and the Leia can get you do the stop and rotates when you need to. That actually makes a lot of sense. Kyo's a great 3-point ship. I think we all agree with that. So yeah, the weak point is Garvin Dreas. Potentially another U-Wing instead. If you're thinking you already want evades for defense, I might reach out for Magva Yarrow. She can stop people from rerolling multiple dice against you.
I like that, because I see Sunset Cyber is in the chat. This is the person who submitted this list. He had mentioned that Saul gives rerolls to these high hull ships. He gives, yes, I see what you're doing there, but I like the addition of Magva here. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab that That's a U-Wing, right?
Yeah, Magva in the U-Wing. Her range band is range 2, which you're going to be flying within range 2 for Saw's ability as well. Kyo is probably your flank if necessary, or a little objective getter, because the main force is this the chunky here. And I'm really stretching my brain to think if there's any other 5-point ships. I mean, you have X-Wings, I guess, but I don't think they have the same chunkiness.
Synergy? The chonkiness, yeah.
They only have that chunk that you're getting from the U-Wings and stuff.
Well, how would we build out this Magva for him?
Oh, you definitely going, if possible, the Child. Because giving out target locks is really funny, because you can only reroll 1 dice anyways. Let's see, then 7 other upgrade points. I really like Contraband Cybernetics. That's really, really good. Obviously, I have it on 2 other ships here. And then I would probably say...
Can you do Child Leia? Because basically Leia gives Contraband Cybernetics.
There's already Leia in the... There's already Leia in the list, though.
Oh, it's already there?
It's on Saw. So it is already there. Maybe, I know you guys, or maybe, Marcel, you've ran Fenral Crew.
Yeah, Contraband, not cloaking. I love Fenral Crew, especially with ships that want to stop or stress themselves, or with gauntlets because they bump. And
yeah, I'm thinking more of like for Fenral Crew. After a friendly ship of range 0 to 2 engages, if its revealed maneuver is 1 speed higher than there is an enemy ship in its front arc, that friendly ship may remove 1 non-locked token. Now it is a little awkward because these people need to stop, and Ezra actually likes being stressed most of the time. So maybe that's not the best upgrade.
they're not going to stop that often. You're going to move bump a lot.
That's true.
And also Keo, it works really well with Keo because it opens up Keo's dial a lot.
Yes, Keo has to remain unstressed to be able to do the side slips because they increase your difficulty. So that could be an option. Otherwise, something like Lando Calrissian, which I think is really fun and like elusive, could be interesting. Lando with Jin is really funny because no matter what, it's either are you going to get one evade or two evades. Because you kind of just force the dice roll there. So it depends on how supportive you want to be. There's also a, what do I want to say, a value in selfless. So I might actually just reach for selfless and Lando Calrissian to see if you can pull some crits off of Ezra or Saw Gerrera. Once they've dipped into that hole, but you want to spread that damage around, you can even pull a crit so that you can activate your own Saw Gerrera ability. Plus, it's great for salvage, right? Everybody but Magva grabs a crate, and she can just be out there helping them keep him. Plus, it would allow another coordinator, though, too, at I3. I think that's what's really drawing me to Magva is same initiative as Kyo and Ezra. Mm-hmm. So you can move them in a specific order and coordinate them when they're not stressed.
All right, there you go. So Sunset Cyber, hopefully you enjoy this update. We're going to go ahead and copy that over, so make sure that you have a copy of it, and we'll post it in the Discord. Let's keep it going. We have a list here from Psych J7 asking a very specific question. Let's go ahead and, Marcel, break down this list.
All right, so before I break down the list, let's see. It's from Psych J7, from that Planning Phase Syndicate, and he said, is Magna a viable replacement as a coordinator versus a Reaper for the Empire? Short answer, yes, but let's read the list. It is the Battle of Yavin Darth Vader with Marksmanship, Hate, and Afterburners. Sunterfell with Predator, Enduring, and Shield upgrade. It is the Battle of Yavin Mauler Mythal, which comes with Predator and Afterburner. Magna in the standard loadout of Squad Leader and Heavy Laser Cannon, and then you have a Black Squadron Ace, basically a 2-point TIE Fighter, rounding it up for 5 ships. I think the short answer is yes. Magna is a good substitute. It's a good substitute for a TIE Reaper in that it's a better coordinator than a TIE Reaper because it actually gets into better positions to be able to coordinate, and it is more likely to complete its maneuver in order to coordinate. TIE Reapers tend to either get out of position because they're trying to avoid getting shot, or they just bump. So if they bump, they can't coordinate unless even the one that you can coordinate after boosting. The only difference is that particular one, the Initiative 2 Vizier, I think it is, also gives you Palpatine, so which is kind of it's kind of like a coordinate. I mean, it gives you a soft focus. But the short answer is yes. If you want to coordinate, Magna is the best coordinator because you're only paying 3 points, tough to kill, and it still has the potential, unlikely sometimes, but it has the potential for a 4-die attack at range 2 and 3. Now, what I would do with this list, I don't see, just looking at this list, I don't see what Magna wants to coordinate or needs to coordinate. I mean, Vader has the Battle of Yavin. Vader doesn't have the multiple actions, but he does have Afterburners, and then he has offensive mods, defensive mods with Force plus, can take the regular target lock action. Sunterfell, again, doesn't really need to coordinate, can double reposition and still end up with a focus. So what I would do here, or what I did here, is I would actually downgrade. I don't even know if it's a downgrade. I would change, because I don't think it's a downgrade. I would change Sunterfell I6 into an I5 X1 called Juno Eclipse. It's an X1, not an interceptor. Yeah.
Oh, give me Juno in the interceptor. Come on, let's go.
Let's do it. So that actually opens up 2 points, and Juno is an I5. And for this particular case, I'm going to do fire control system and elusive on him, plus cluster missiles. Now you can also go with like crack shot and passive sensors, which is really good as well, because with crack shot passive sensors, you basically just wait until the board is over, and now you're I7 figuring out, hey, this is who I want to target lock, and this is, I want to boost out of the way. So actually, that sounds more fun. Let's just do it that way. I like the cluster missiles because in case you end up against something, but that's more fun. So let's do crack shot and passive sensors, because then you can boost off that target lock. Mauler Mythil, we're going to leave them on there. Magna, we're going to leave them on there. So you get 2 extra points, and with these 2 extra points, basically what you're allowed to do is you're allowed to upgrade that Black Squadron Ace into the Backstabber, Battle of Yavin Backstabber. So basically you get 6 I6, and then you get 5, 5, 5, and then a coordinator. So you get a budget coordinator pushing 3 initiative 5s plus an initiative 6. And that way also Darth Vader, if Darth Vader needs to kind of become a little AC and break from the pack, he doesn't break the third die to Mauler Mythil. Anyway, this is what I would do with this if you're trying to use Magna as a coordinator and kind of a Darth Vader and high initiative. I ended up changing 2 ships, basically downgraded or changed. I don't know if it's a downgrade. Changed Cinderfell into Juno. And Juno is really good. Like, out of this entire list, basically, I would just staple Magna right behind Juno.
I've been starting every Imperial list with Magna Juno. Comparing that 7 points versus a customizable X1 Vader, like, wow, they're very comfortable.
Yeah, and now imagine if you can replace, we're talking about like Vader is so good. Imagine this exact same list, but you're replacing it with Iden, who basically says your shot went no, and Moff Gideon, which says your defense went no. And now you have 6 ships instead of 5 ships. You have more defense, and you have sustained offense, because that Moff Gideon is a bad word I can't say here. So yeah, Vader is, even at 6 points, Vader, there's just so many good TIE fighters out there that you can pick up and still do some nastiness with. But as far as this list, the closest I can get to that list and do that, I think this is probably what I would end up with. I don't know, Ryan and Will, if you've got tweaks on this.
I don't know about Backstabber when you could get Countdown. You can get a lot of interceptors and strikers for 4 points. But he does have 3 agility and 3 attack. That high initiative afterburners as well. So I could see it. Plus, remember, those boy ties have that hull upgrade built right in. So they're not slouching out there.
They're basically not TIE fighters anymore. With that extra hull and afterburners, I5 with bullseye effects that matter a ton. They are effectively different ships.
Yeah, you're so close to an interceptor. Twice per round.
And I also want to respond to one of our audience members asking, is How Runner not allowed or something? How Runner is legal. It's just for the cost isn't worth the positioning right now. The ability obviously in and of itself is good, but it's not worth the positioning sacrifice you have to make, especially now that it's more than just a death match. You're going to be pulling 3 other scenarios. Marcel, look, you wanted to add something.
I might use him at 3. If he was 3 points, he would be my 4th best 3-point ship, even at 3 points. There would be other 3-point TIE fighters I would take above him.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So, yeah, Hell Runner not in vogue right now. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our last one here. This one coming to us from John List. John said, just wondering if there's anything you guys would change about this list. It's been working fairly well and competitive, but always looking at trying to make things better. Go ahead, Ryan.
So we have a first order squad here of 5 ships. We're going to start with Quick Draw. John opted for, make sure I have the right one here, a Proud Tradition Elusive Pattern Analyzer, Special Forces Gunner Shield Upgrade, and Fire Control System. Quick Draw loadout. We have Malorus with Cluster Missiles. We have Scorch with Elusive, Pattern Analyzer, and Fanatical. We have Backdraft with Proud Tradition Pattern Analyzer, Special Forces Gunner. And we have Nightfall with Concussion Missile and Pattern Analyzer. So I have 2 routes you can go down for this one. We want to keep more of the guts and keep the same chassis and do sort of a minimal change and keep, I would say, the ideology of the list. Let's make a few base changes here. I think if you're bringing another SF with Quick Draw on the board, it may sound or feel gimmicky, and you don't have to use it every game, but I feel like, especially if you're opting into the shield upgrade Quick Draw, Captain Phasma instead of Backdraft. I could see the reason to still stick with Backdraft. It's still getting a 3-die rearc, but I would say Phasma offers that weird thing where you stick Phasma near Quick Draw, and say either one you shoot at, Quick Draw could trigger the ability of the extra bonus attack if you're opting for shield upgrade. And then I think we could, and then we need to make probably some upgrade choice changes on Scorch, and I would say Nightfall. Scorch doesn't, not to say Scorch can never do red maneuvers. You're going to be hard pressed to do red maneuver almost in most, I'd say 95% of games with Scorch. So let's get rid of that Pattern Analyzer. Personally, I know some people prefer the offensive version. I like to shield upgrade on Scorch in DT. But I know some people like Fanatical, Advanced Optics, and Predator for that higher offensive output. You can choose which one you want. I prefer Shield. But if you're going...
You said DT. What is that an abbreviation for?
Oh, DT798, the other Scorch that uses
Got
Strain. Sorry, I just say DT for short, because I somehow remember 798, but I never care to say it. And I think it's very rare if you're a non-Kylo Whisper to take target locks, and even then, Kylo prefers using stuff like Instinctive Aim. So I don't know if you can do a lock-based missile for Nightfall. I think to kind of help Nightfall also get into that sort of overlapping or whether not overlapping or not, just jamming stuff up and being a nuisance. You're going to want Sensor Scrambler, so get rid of Pattern Analyzer, go Sensor Scrambler. Nightfall used to have enough points to do Proud Tradition Pattern Analyzer and a concussion missile style missile. No longer has that loadout anymore. So I think you opt into the I'm just going to take Sensor Scrambler, help me be safe into the fight, use the decloak to get to where you need to go, and start jamming up and limiting how many shots can actually get on Nightfall because you're so close to them. You have 9 points left. I just say go for the opportunistic proton rocket and a Fanatical. Fanatical, proton rocket, Sensor Scrambler, Nightfall. Can't count on that rocket to go every game, but it's a real threat, especially if Nightfall gets to move after someone, lines up the bullseye, and can focus jam. Because if you have someone in your jam bullseye, you also have them in a proton rocket. Now, if we are trying to, I'd say, optimize this list further and maybe split off our chassis choices, While I do value the jamming that Nightfall has, I think switching the extra SF, whether it's Backdraft or Phasma, to DT798, and then upgrading Nightfall to Recoil would be my choice. So you would stick with Quick Draw, Malrus, Scorch, DT798, and Recoil if we were changing chassis and pilots.
That's a silencer. I'm trying to remember. What is
It's a
that thing
silencer,
called
yep.
again?
Just Recoil, yep. Predator Sensor Scrambler. DT shield upgrade, Scorch shield upgrade. And this time, since we're not like trying to stay close to Phasma, I highly actually prefer Afterburners on Quick Draw, and then you would just drop Elusive to Fanatical. Fanatical Pattern, Special Forces, Fire Control System, Afterburners.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, John. Well, hopefully that helps you out with some different ideas there. We don't got a definitive answer for you, but we recognize that there's some wiggle room. You might, especially if you're working on this list for something like Worlds, go ahead and make some of these tweaks. Try out Recoil instead of Nightfall there. Check out Captain Malrus. Or Commander Malrus. I do 100% think that that Phasma taking that spot instead of Backdraft is a pretty big deal. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. All right, so today's show, nice and sweet, but we did end up with this Mandalorian trailer. So we're gonna go ahead and give everybody the official spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. We're gonna go ahead and watch it. How long was it, Marcel?
It's a minute and 42 seconds.
Minute and 42 seconds. So what we'll do is we will do it for our live people instead of recording it, so they don't have to. We don't have to just have a minute 40 of awkward silences, because I don't know if I will remember to edit it out.
Plus, you don't want to get copyright, so just
That too. All right. So as for the recording, now if you're watching live, you want to stay for Mando stuff, go ahead and stay. But for everybody else, just reminders: Sector Series, get your games in. Make sure your lists are updated. Prepare for Worlds. Prepare for LVO. That's around the corner. And just all around, just be a good person. I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good goal for you out there, you person. I believe in you. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be smart. Be safe. Gold Squadron out.